particular...
The local government.
The local government. This type of projects cannot proceed without a valid sanggunian resolution.
But the provincial government, I think, is against the against this project since it contributed to the flooding of Cebu City itself.
Well, as I understand it, the project is located inside Cebu City, and it's the Cebu City local government who should be regulating and supervising this project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sponsor. Let's go to the second topic on government housing projects. Initially, under the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino, or the 4PH program, the government aims to build 1 million houses per year, totaling 6 million units by the end of President Marcos' term. But the target has since been revised, and the DSUD was quoted as saying that it aims to construct 3.2 million housing units before President Marcos steps down in 2028. My question is, as we speak, how many housing units have been constructed since the start of the Marcos administration?
Yeah, Mr. President, for the direct housing, it's 113,000 housing provisions. And for the indirect housing, it's 314,000. So a total of 428,000.
Only? So hindi natin mamimit yung target before the term of President Marcos ends?
Well, the target, Mr. President, is 1.1 million by 2028. So meron pa hong balancing 705,000.
Kasi ang usapan
Medyo tall order. Challenging ho talaga, actually.
The government aims to build 1 million houses per year, totaling 6 million units by the end of the term of President Marcos.
Well, you're correct, Mr. President. They had to revise their targets. I think 1 million is very ambitious, Mr. President, and they have to be realistic with the budgetary constraint.
Ano, niloloko natin taong bayan? Bakit sinabi 1 million per year?
Yes.
Tapos, so right now, as we speak, how many? How many houses? 400? 400,000 plus pa lang.
Well, Mr. President, we all know that we have a new leader, a new secretary in the Department of Housing. And after his analysis and consultation with stakeholders, the 1 million per year seems like it was a very big challenge.
So what is the revised, how many housing units per year? Or yung target before the end of the term of President Marcos in 2028?
About 200,000 per year, Mr. President. That's the target. So, ang target po nila, by the end of the term of the President, they would have constructed at least 705,000 units to complete the 1.1 million. 705,000 to complete
705,000 units.
From 1 million a year, ang naging target is 1 million in the next 3 years. No?
So sa 6 na taon ni Pangulong Marcos, 700,000 lang ang...
Hindi. Magiging 1.1 million.
1.1 million.
Yes, Mr. President.
Pero ang pangako nung una, 1 million a year.
Yes, Mr.
Pero
President.
ginawa 1 million sa 6 years.
Yes, Mr. President. In short, tama ho kayo.
Okay. Where are these housing projects located, if I may ask? Is it all over the country?
It's all over the country, Mr. President, but primarily in the high-density areas like Region 3, NCR, and Region 4A.
Are these climate resilient housing units?
Yes, Mr. President. These should, before they build, they make sure that the area is suitable for habitation, and they also make sure that they have mitigating measures to mitigate the effects of, let's say, heavy rainfall or natural geographic contours of the area. Kung may mga ilog ho doon, they also make sure that they have mitigating projects to mitigate the effects of those riverways, Mr. President.
Okay, may I know how much is allocated under the 2026 budget for the housing projects, Mr. Sponsor?
About 4.3 billion, Mr. President.
4.3 billion.
Yes.
Magkano bang isang housing unit?
The Senate actually increased it by 1.5 billion, Mr. President.
So, naging,
Dati 2.7, tinaas ho natin to 4.3, Mr. President.
is that sufficient enough?
Their request is more, Mr. President. But,
For next year, 200,000
yes,
ang
Mr. President.
Target, no? Sufficient ba? So magkano yung
Well, Mr. President,
magkano per unit?
Mr. President, during the budget hearing, the Secretary made a very extensive presentation on how he reformed the 4PH project. So, ngayon, covered na ho from informal settlers all the way to middle-income families, Mr. President. So, my housing products na for all of these families, Mr. President.
Can you give me a ballpark figure kung magkano ang presyo ng bawat housing unit? Just a ballpark figure.
So, Mr. President, for NHA, ang row house nila, 26 square meters floor area.
26 square meters?
26 po. May dalawang variant, 26 square meters and 28 square meters. For the 26 square meters is 806,000, Mr. President. Murang-mura lang, Mr. President. Below 1 million.
806,000.
Yes. For the 28 square meters, it's 863,000.
Maliit lang diferensya.
Maliit
So
lang.
yung 28 square meters, kaano ba kalaki yun? Kasama na lahat yun?
Oh, kasama na ho.
Kusina, banyo.
Yeah. Kasama na ho yan.
Eh kung 10 anak ng isang pamilya, paano magkakasya?
Po is 40 square meters. So meron pa ho area for small garden or kung masenso sila, merong maliit na parking lot. No? So the lot area is 40 square meters. The floor area of the house is between 26 to 28.
Ano po naging problema kung bakit bumaba yung target ng DSUD from 3.2 million to 700,000 units? Masyadong malaki yata yung binaba ng target ng DSUD. Sino ba makikinabang dito?
There were, admittedly, Mr. President, there are two major reasons. One is the design of the 4PH. In the past, the design wasn't hitting the market that needed the most. So that's why it created delays in the implementation. In fact, for 2025, they have not obligated the amounts for the 4PH project. There's still 683 million pesos. So because of that delay, natulak po yung kanilang targets. That's one. And of course, the fiscal space, Mr. President, hindi mo funding is the other one, Mr. President. But I think yung design is the top reason bakit po hindi naabot yung 1 million per year. Tama ho kayo, yung po yung the design of the program wasn't targeting the right income class families, Mr. President.
So, may I know who will benefit from these housing units? Are the informal settlers going to benefit from this? At vine-vet ba ito? Sino nagve-vet nito?
So, Mr. President, yung bagong design po ng 4PH is actually targeting almost all income streams from families. Is this families?
Yes, sir, deciles. Income deciles.
Of
From the
families?
lowest.
From families earning 11,000 pesos all the way to families earning 74,000 pesos.
Yeah.
So yun po yung kanilang spectrum.
Who will do the vetting of this project?
Well, it's a combination, Mr. President, because meron rin silang partnership with the private sector. So yung private sector, they're the ones doing the vetting of the families.
Who among the private sectors are concerned here?
Kasi ho, yung the private sector can apply to Pag-ibig to build socialized housing, and the government subsidizes the interest that the families are giving. Doon pumapasok yung gobyerno. So it becomes affordable for them every month. And then there's also another modality wherein it's NHA that builds everything, and NHA vets the beneficiaries, Mr. President. So dalawang modality
So,
po.
pwedeng isama yung mga kapulisan,
Yes, Mr. President, they're
military,
Pag-ibig members. Basta Pag-ibig member ka,
mga
pwede
teachers.
ka. Yes, Mr.
Kasi ito
President.
yung mga lumalaban sa pinagtatanggol ng ating
Yes, Mr. President.
gobyerno.
Yes.
Medyo mababa pa yung sahod, kailangan siguro isama natin itong
Yes,
mga
so kung police ka and you want to buy...
kapulisan, military, tsaka yung mga guro. Well, according to a recent study, the housing needs in the Philippines is estimated at 6.9 million units for 2022 to 2028. 819,000 in NCR, 2.7 million in Luzon, 1.38 million in Visayas, and 1.96 million in Mindanao. The housing backlog, according to researchers, has already reached an alarming level. And if not addressed, this could surge to 22 million by 2040, according to the United Nations Habitat. And what are the steps or reforms being undertaken by the department to address distortions in the housing market and make housing easily accessible, especially to low-income families? Masyadong mababa ang target natin na 700,000. And sinabi ng UN, kailangan 6.9 million.
Yeah, Mr. President, that is a really sad reality, Mr. President. So the department is undertaking two modalities. One is purely financed by government. Ibig sabihin po, gobyerno magpapatayo, and NHA is the lead in that endeavor. The other one is in partnership with the private sector, wherein the government steps in to subsidize the interest payments. No? So ito naman po ay tinutulungan ng buyer side. No? So magiging affordable po yung kanilang amortization every month. Doon po pumapasok yung gobyerno.
Kasi nakaka-alarma naman malaman na 6.9 million units ang kailangan ng ating bansa, tapos 700,000 lang ang target natin. Anyway, pwede ba malaman kung ilan ba yung informal settlers dito sa buong bansa? How many informal settlers are there in the whole Philippines?
The estimate is about 1.4 million informal settler families. 4
The whole
million.
Philippines or only in the whole Philippines? You sure?
That is the...
As we speak, ilan?
that is their internal survey, Mr. President.
Internal survey of the
This is, this is 1.4 million families, Mr. President.
Families.
Families.
Alright.
So if you times 5 that's
By rule
about
of thumb.
6 million.
By rule of thumb, you multiply it by 5.
Yes,
times 5.
Mr. President.
So kung 1.4 million families, that's 7 million
Individuals.
individuals.
Yes.
All right. So, kanina sinabi nyo kasama sila sa recipients ng pabahay. So, do you think 700,000 is sufficient enough to accommodate these informal settlers, makapulisan, military, ng mga ating guro?
Mr. President, shelter is really a very challenging endeavor on the part of government, because you have new families. Yung mga new families, they are also looking for new homes. Then you have to address existing informal settlers that are also eventually, alam naman ho natin, lumalaki rin yung kanilang families. There are informal settler families that are informal settlers for generations. No? So, in catch-up po talaga very challenging. But the department is coming up with new financing schemes para hindi naman po lahat gobyerno nagpapatayo. That's why they also partnered with the private sector so that the private sector can invest in shelter and government will come in to pay the amortization. And we subsidize the amortization to make it affordable. So may mga iba-ibang schemes. Hindi po parehong formula for all the different housing needs of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, for being patient in answering all my questions. I terminate my interpellation to give way to Senator Risa, who is the next to interpellate.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Jinggoy. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
All right, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, next to interpolate is our Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Rizal Tiveros.
The Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros, is recognized.
Salamat po, Mr. President, at magandang hapon po, Mr. Chair, at sa DSUD family. Unang tanong ko po tungkol sa accountability para sa utility delays at compliance, particular po water access. So, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, we've repeatedly addressed the persistent infrastructure gaps in high-density housing projects, such as the 7-year delay in water service for occupied sites like Alpas, and the complete lack of water service preventing occupancy in projects like AMC. Also, given the reported failure of Prime Water to invest in San Fernando, Pampanga, paano po magiging posible na ma-occupy yung daan-daang 4 PH units? Anong specific institutionalized action ang gagawin ng DSUD sa loob ng, halimbawa, 90 days para i-mandate at i-expedite, pabilisin yung water connection mula sa mga suppliers para siguruhin na mababudgetan yung mga utilities, Mr. Chair.
So, thank you for the question, Senator Risa. For the HDH Alpas, located in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, the interim solution? Legal ba ito? Yeah. Sorry for the delay, Mr. President.
It's all right, Mr.
The
Chair.
HDH Alpas, which is located in San Jose del Monte, the interim solution is a construction of deep well, while the LGU is going to take over. No? Tama ba? Yeah, but are they going to take? Okay. So, sorry, I'm just clarifying. So the LGU and is already taking action on prime water. The supplier here is prime water, and it's the LGU that is taking action and coordinating with prime water. But the interim solution is that the Social Housing Finance Corporation will construct a deep well, and this will be operational between 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
So yun po yung interim solution nila para magkaroon ng tubig. Pero hindi ako satisfied sa 90 to 120 days. So walang tubig. Kayo kaya, huwag maligo ng 90 to 120 days.
Hindi
Diba?
lang mahirap, Mr. Chair. Imposible.
Kaya nga eh. Dapat bukas may tubig na ito. Dapat kung habang walang tubig sila, wag rin kayo maligo kaya. Diba?
Ang hirap po.
Nagrarasyon naman raw, Senator Risa. So may interim nagrarasyon ho sila ngayon, but the second interim is to magkaroon ng deep well na legal. No? I was verifying, dapat ho legal.
Yes.
Hindi pong colorum na deep well. And this will be already applied with the DNR. No? So ang request namin ni Senator Risa, mapabilis ho to dahil hindi naman pwedeng walang tubig yung community. No?
Totoo po, Mr. Chair. Ganito rin po ba yung magiging immediate tapos interim solution doon po sa San Fernando, Pampanga, Mr. Chair?
I was informed by Social Housing Finance that the Crystal Peak Estates in San Fernando, Pampanga, wala naman pong issue. It's the LGU and the local utilities, no, that is operating the distribution, water distribution. Nag-take over na pala ho yung LGU. So they are now operating the water distribution activities in that area.
Well, I understand, Mr. Chair, na nag-take over na yung LGU sa San Fernando, Pampanga. But are they actually operating already? Are they actually na nakaka-deliver na po ng tubig
Yes,
sa mga
Mr.
bahay?
Mr. President, so that is a affirmative.
All right. So that's good to know, Mr. Chair, para yung daang-daang 4 PH units doon sa San Fernando, Pampanga, mauokupa nga dahil may available na water utility doon. Good to hear na within pasok sa 90 days sana na specific institutionalized action doon sa Alpas, San Jose del Monte. Although may range 90 to 120 days. So salamat sa Chair for asking for immediate urgent action.
And I also thank Senator Risa because I know that you are also very concerned about this community. I know that you are monitoring the welfare of that community. So thank you for bringing this up so that the Social Housing Finance Management can take a look at this once again.
Oo nga pala, Mr. Chair, at salamat sa SHAFC for undertaking the construction of that deep well. It's an example na bukod sa good share, bukod sa akin at iba pang mga kasama dito na inaasikaso ng DSUD, yung ganito mga communities, at yung key shelter agencies tulad ng SHAFC should and do step in kapag may immediate interventions and then more strategic interventions na kailangan po. So, dako naman po, and before I leave this first question, Mr. Chair, maigi po sana, kung pwedeng tanggapin ito ng DSUD bilang mungkahi, good if there will be a senior official who will be assigned to developing and seeking resources for a water plan for these housing projects, Mr. Chair. Just for the record and the consideration of the department.
The DSUD families here, they're complete, so they'll study your proposal, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. So, dako na po ako sa affordability crisis and subsidy recalibration. At least ganito po yung karanasan at impormasyon na dumating sa informal settlers. At particular, yung concern po dito, institutionalizing yung 1% target rate para sa Maralitang Tagalunsod. The Lapidario Medium Rise Project in Cavite, ito po, ikinuwento sa amin ng Kilos Maralita. Yung Lapidario tragically demonstrates that the 3% interest rate disqualifies the intended urban poor beneficiaries. So, magko-commit po ba, Mr. Chair, ang DSUD na agad mag-issue ng joint policy circular kasama ng pag-ibig para yung mga pangako ni dating Secretary Acuzar ay madedeliver pa rin. Kasi po, when the interest rate was at 1%, the beneficiaries reported that more than 700 people qualified for the project. But at a 3% interest rate, 159 of them only would qualify. And these people already looked for a parcel and a developer and already actually enrolled in the earlier 4PH program. And I would suppose that a similar highly concessional package would also be needed for families who are being involuntarily resettled from no-build zones at the edge of rivers and from government project right-of-way. So iba pang concern ito, Mr. Chair. So pwede po bang i-consider ni Secretary ang mga tao sa ganitong mga sirkumstansya? Una, yung pumasok sa programa at 1% interest rate, tapos nabalitaan nila 3% interest rate na po. And then pangalawa, yung mga tao na nasa no-build zones, nasa right-of-way, pero sa pilitan silang inililipat, Mr. Chair.
The new secretary is committing to maintaining the 1% effective interest rate for 4PH projects. Ito ay quite innovative because this is subsidizing the demand side of the housing project. And 1% is actually reasonable, Mr. President. And during the public hearing, he also demonstrated the reforms that he plans to do in order to cover more families in the 4PH project. Dati ho kasi limited lang to middle income and the higher income families. But ngayon na pati mga informal sector ay mako-cover na rin, and the low income families. Yeah.
I'll also get to that point, Mr. Chair, a little later kasi magiging very welcome development po yun sa mga informal settlers, mga maralitang tagalunsod na tinataas ng DSUD yung target nila na mga kababayan nating magbebenepisyo dito sa ating housing programs. So, yung pong commitment ni Secretary na i-maintain yung 1% interest rate, posible bang mapaloob yon sa isang joint policy circular kasama ng pag-ibig or aling key shelter agency dapat, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, sorry again for the delay.
It's all right, Mr. Chair.
The explanation to me is in order to maintain the 1% effective interest rate for 4PH, which is a subsidized rate, we need to assure the department that the corresponding subsidy that, of course, Congress and the Senate appropriates to them will be maintained. So contingent yun kung ano yung budget na nakukuha nila. So it's also important, well, it's important that yung budget ay mapasok sa National Expenditure Program para hindi magkaroon ng shortage yung subsidy at kasi ang effect nung pag hindi nabigyan yung subsidy, pwedeng tumaas yung interest rates from 1 to 3%, Mr.
Yun ang
President.
kinatatakutan.
Yeah, that's
Opo.
right. Well, before, nung bago si Secretary pumasok, kung nawalan nagkulang yung subsidy o hindi nabigyan ng subsidy, tumataas siya ng 6. Pero they managed to work out with Pag-ibig na may cap at 3%. No?
Okay.
So it's really a budgetary issue, in other words. No?
Pero sa naging NEP nitong taon, Mr. Chair, para sa susunod na taon, and yung current form ng GAB, meron po bang line item doon which would enable DSUD or the Secretary to deliver on his commitment na i-maintain sa 1% yung interest rate?
Yeah, based on his projection for 2026, covered na po yung 683. Covered na ho yun for next year.
683.
Million, Mr.
Aha.
President.
Okay po. And ano yung kailangan nilang suporta mula sa atin, sa Kongreso, para siguruhin na they will always have the wherewithal para i-maintain yung 1% na yun?
Mr. President, the target is about 200 units per year. 200,000 units per year, of which itong 200,000 units per year, may corresponding subsidy ho siya. So kailangan matulungan natin ang DSUD na makover yung subsidy na yun. That's the additional. But of course, may existing pa eh. No? So we need to also cover the existing.
Okay po.
So in other words, yung kanilang target and existing should be inside NEP
Yes.
and should be maintained all the way till the budget is approved.
Opo. So, I'm also taking note of that, Mr. Chair, na baka homework po sa atin dito sa Senate, and siguro naman kinommunicate din ito ng DSUD sa mga counterparts natin sa House,
Yeah.
na year on year for the next
Yeah.
couple of years, kailangan natin laging siguruhin na may ganitong line item.
It's a good question, Mr. President. So tayo naman dito, we know the effects if we do not allocate the subsidy that is related to the 4PH. Mayroong effect siya in terms of how much the families will be paying. No? And we want to maintain that 1% throughout the life of the project, Mr. President.
Salamat para doon, Mr. Chair. At makikipagtrabaho po itong representasyon sa Good Share para masuportahan yung DSUD at yung pag-ibig sa aspetong ito. And sana po, Mr. Chair, tama ba yung understanding ko na kasama dito sa subsidy na ito para 1% lang ang interest rate nila, yung mga tao na sa pilitang i-resettle dahil nasa no-build zones, nasa gilid ng ilog o nasa government right-of-way areas?
Pag informal ho, dito naman papasok yung NHA, Mr. President.
Okay.
And when NHA comes in, ito purely subsidized housing rin. So NHA has 4.3 billion. So dito naman papasok yung ating housing subsidy through NHA.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Just taking a step back momentarily, gusto ko lang i-bring sa attention ng DSUD kaugnay nung water access na as of 3 months ago, the manager of San Fernando Water District told us that there is no water and no money for capital investments for the water supply for the San Fernando 4PH project. So sana kahit double check lang ulit ng DSUD na real time yung sinabi nila kanina na may tubig na dun sa service area na yon, Mr. Chair.
Referring, Mr. President, Senator Risa, to the Crystal Peak Estates, San Fernando, Pampanga.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, according to Social Housing Finance, nag-move in na itong mga families and they validated na meron pong tubig na doon sa area na yon, doon sa community na yon.
Alright, salamat po para doon, Mr. Chair. That things have indeed improved within a quarter of a year since. Okay po, Mr. Chair, dako na po ako sa utilizing escrow funds para sa resiliency at para sa building code reform. So the DSUD has the mandate to utilize the balanced housing escrow funds to support socialized housing. However, CMP loan funds cannot be effectively used for strengthening existing houses without a technical framework. So meron po bang inherent power, Mr. Chair, ang DSUD para agad pamunuan nila ang pag-develop ng isang annex to the National Building Code IRRs, specifically po para sa mga CMP sites, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, Senator Risa, they relaunched the CMP to what they call the ECMP, the Enhanced CMP, Community Mortgage Program. And the community can borrow to address, they can borrow to implement resiliency programs in their community. So for example, nasa typhoon belt sila, right? Let's say Region 5 or Region 8, they can borrow, the community can borrow so that they can make their houses resilient to typhoons. They can retrofit their houses. So yung mga windows ho, pwede nilang lagyan ng protection so that the community is resilient to typhoons. So meron na silang ganitong programa po.
Okay, salamat, Mr. Chair. So hindi na, tingin ng DSUD, hindi na ba nila kailangang magdagdag ng annex sa IRRs ng National Building Code para dun sa CMP sites?
Mr. President, admittedly, the building code needs to be updated talaga.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung code mismo, hindi lang yung IRRs ng code.
Yeah,
Opo.
talagang kailangan no i-update because it's not attuned to the times anymore. Walang any conversation there on resiliency, on mitigation, even on energy efficiency, wala hong ganun. So there's now a move in the House of Representatives to update the building code. They call it the National Building Act. And DSUD is participating there constantly, Mr. President, so they can share their views on how the building code should be updated.
Okay. Including in terms of the CMP sites, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. President. So kasali na ho doon. Admittedly, marami, like for example, in energy efficiency, wala hong ganun na parte sa building code. No? So, and I saw yesterday that the President inaugurated a solar rooftop project in a socialized housing project. No, let's call it, I think, Ning Ning, the project. So it's actually quite a innovative project because nasa socialized housing facility siya. Normally, it's the houses in Forbes or houses in luxury enclaves na meron pong solar. Pero ito, socialized housing po. Row houses, nakita ko. No? So, those are the things na wala ho sa building code that should be taken consideration.
I agree, Mr. Chair. And it actually makes sense na hindi lang sa socialized housing areas din, pero particularly sa socialized housing areas where ang layunin ay affordable quality housing na powered ito ng renewable energy na alam po natin sa atin ng mga advocacy sa energy democracy na kalaunan mas mura ang kuryente na generated ng renewable energies. So, dahil meron ng umaandar na proseso sa House of Representatives and I look forward na makapag-counterpart tayo sa Senado sa ganito, National Building Code Bill, hindi ko na kailangan itanong kung pwedeng magbigay ng timeline ang DSUD sa pag-develop ng annex sa National Building Code IRRs, specifically for CMP sites. Iwan ko na lang itong suggestion din na dun sa pag-participate nila sa House of Representatives process and eventually harinawa dito sa Senado, na isama po nila yung mga simplified standards for incremental development and for the development of a grassroots organizational approach for the technical capacity, for the structural vetting of self-built homes that need to be transformed into resilient assets, Mr. Chair. And huli na lang sa paksang ito, bukod pa sa mga ganito, yung update ng National Building Code para sa CMP areas, ano pa po ang pwede nating gawin para maghanda para sa the big one na ayon kay DOST Secretary Solidum naman ay maaring magresulta sa tens of thousands ng mga pamilya natin na mailibing sa ilalim ng rubble, Mr. Chair.
Mr. President, DSUD is very conscious of the areas that are called no-build zones. So ito yung mga malalapit sa fault areas. At talagang very strict sila, hindi ho nila pinapayagan magpatayo doon. Sa waterways, kung in area ay flood-prone area, hindi rin nila pinapayagan ho yun. So they're very conscious of that. Very strict ho yung policy on building in areas that are considered no-build zones. And at the same time, we mentioned kanina na meron ECMP, ang Pag-ibig meron rin pong facility for home improvement. So, for example, if the community or the homeowner, individual na, no? The homeowner would like to retrofit their houses, pwede silang mag-loan. No? Kung tingin nila luma na or sabi ng engineer ay hindi siya adequate to resist or to withstand earthquakes, pwede sila mag-loan. Yeah.
Okay, salamat Mr. Chair. Bago ko iwan itong paksa, isang note lang, no? Yung Philippine Building Code ay para sa bahay na tinatayo from the ground up. So bagong construction. I'm guessing baka ganun din ang perspective nung House Bill sa National Building Code. Samantala yung existing self-built houses, ito yung mga nasa CMP sites. So yung practical question po ay, ngayong papautangin sila, yung mga informal settlers natin, or yung mga nasa CMP sites, ngayong papautangin sila ng SHAFC para sa house improvement, paano nga tutulungan ng SHAFC itong mga tao na nasa CMP na i-improve yung mga bahay nila incrementally? Bago pa man magkaroon ng bagong batas, kaya ako naitanong kanina yung pwede bang magkaroon ng annex sa IRRs ng kasalukuyang national
USEX and ASEX.
Okay, thank you for that. Not to, of course, we would like to know the new officials of the DSUD. Of course, I do not want to, I'm hoping that they will really come up, hindi ko naman inaano yung credentials nila, but, the only problem, Mr. President, with all of the departments, yung pong turnover lagi ganun no? So yung my worry always is the institutional memory. Just like with the DOH, naiwan na lang po si Secretary Ted Herbosa from USEC, ASEC down, bago na rin po lahat. When we were drafting the Universal Healthcare Law, yung po mga kausap namin, yung mga the ones who helped us formulate or draft the law, wala na po lahat in the same manner with the DSUD. So I'm hoping, bagong ano na naman to, learning curve, sana po, yung isa sa susunod na 2 taon, malaman nyo na lahat. No? From the Housing Summit hanggang sa pag-draft, so bago na naman po tayo. But then again, nandiyan na po yan. So we'll just have to help each other. Yung po sa, sa development, the reason why we came up with the DSUD, all the agencies, all the housing agencies of government, iba-iba po yung they had their own offices, no? Hiwa-hiwalay po sila under the HUDC back then. So we deemed it proper that under the DSUD, at least everybody will move in the one direction. Probably I would like to ask the chairman if you can ask Secretary Aliling, yung pong strategy now with the housing, the socialized housing. Sana po hindi na maulit yung mga dating nakagawian, nagagawa na kung saan pinakamura ang lupa, doon po bibili, magde-develop, gagawa ng socialized housing, low-cost housing, tapos pwede ilumipat yung mga beneficiaries, but after a few months, after a few years, iiwanan. Kasi po, malayo sa transport hub, malayo sa mga health centers, sa mga educational facilities. And during that time, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, ang nangyayari, nasa 30% or below ang occupancy. Nagsasayang po tayo ng pera. So, I'm hoping that with the passage of DSUD, ang gusto natin township development. It should now be complete with the health, educational, transport hubs, and others. So, I just want to ask, is this the same direction still that will be pursued by the leadership of Secretary Aliling and the DSUD family?
Well, thank you for that question. And tama ho kayo, Senator JV, na yung mga tao na pinapwersa pong i-relocate sa outside of their cities or outside of their municipalities, napipilitan ho silang iiwan yung kanilang pinaglipatan dahil walang trabaho, walang eskwelahan, no? Walang education at inconvenient para sa kanilang daily life. Tayo man, pag linipat ho doon, talagang aalis ho tayo ng aalis dahil walang mga basic facilities. So, yan po ay hindi na policy ng bagong pamunuan ng Department of Housing. In fact, kanina napag-usapan ho namin ni Senator Risa na ang policy ngayon ng NHA ay in-city or neighboring cities or they call it close city or neighboring cities. No? So, yun po yung kanilang policy.
Well, that's good to hear because both of us have experience as former chief executives. And I would say that, I can proudly say, Mr. President, that in Metro Manila, San Juan and Valenzuela have more or less the more successful socialized housing program. Kasi po, hindi naman ho lahat ng LGUs prioritize housing because number one, it's very expensive. Land is very expensive in Metro Manila. And second, hindi masyadong mataas, no, yung development cost. But happy to note that Valenzuela has one of the more successful housing programs. Yung po yung Disciplina Village, no? If I'm not mistaken. Yes,
Disciplina Village po. Oo.
Dalawa po yun.
Medyo
no?
payat pa tayo dyan, Senator JV.
Oo nga eh.
Oo.
Parang ako hindi.
Hindi. Ikaw yun. Hindi. Actually, ikaw yung tinutukoy ko.
Yes, this one's, si Congressman Albi Benitez, the one who passed the other measure, the countermeasure. But do you kalayaan, the Disciplina Village, how many phases was that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, it was an offshoot of Bagyong Ondoy. I think mayor tayo noon, Senator JV at that time. So, dahil po sa Bagyong Ondoy, we had to relocate yung mga nasa danger areas. So, to date, we have relocated close to about 15,000 sa mga danger areas. Meron na ho kaming tatlong housing projects. Pero sa amin ho, public rental housing, we rent it to them. No? Hindi ho namin, wala pong binibigay na ownership. So, but mura lang po yung renta, about 300 pesos. I remember this time you were the chairman of the Senate Committee on Housing, if I'm not mistaken, at that time nung binisita niyo kami sa Valenzuela.
And that's worth, I don't know, worth looking at. I'm hoping that the Dishud family, Secretary Ling, would consider rental housing. I think will be very good also for Metro Manila right now. Magandang, it was a very good example, the one that they built in Valenzuela. Sa San Juan naman, we built medium rise also, 5-story. This was this community, St. Joseph, was gutted by fire, about 1,000 families or 5,000 inhabitants. But we were able to establish a 5-story socialized housing. My question, Mr. President, during the time of Secretary Acusar, he wanted high-rise, no? I think he wanted high-rise socialized housing for Metro Manila. Rationale is being because land is definitely expensive in the urban area, especially Metro Manila. So, they will maximize, no, na maglagay ng high-rise. My only apprehension is that pag high-rise, the cost of maintenance is very high, no? Yung mga elevator, hindi pwedeng 2 lang yan or 4. Pag ganun malalaki, baka 6 to 8. And then the common usage area. What is the take or the position of Secretary Aliling daw and the Dishud family? Do they still pursue ito pong mga socialized housing that is high-rise, the 20-story or above?
So, tama ho kayo, Senator JV. Itong ganitong project ay hindi na itinuloy ni Secretary Aliling because the price points is beyond the socialized housing price points. So hindi ito yung mga hindi kayang ma-afford ng mga constituents ho natin na dapat ho natin bigyan ng pabahay. No? So hindi na nila ito inadopt under the new 4PH. But what they adopted is a walk-up until 5 floors na public rental housing. So
we go back to the old formula.
Yes,
That
bumalik.
has been, I think that's the proven formula for socialized housing. Talagang walk-up lang. I think yung Sen. Gatchalian is the one in Valenzuela is also 5-story, no? Walk-up also.
Yes, parang 4.5.
4.5. Kasi itong pinapakita ko sa inyo ngayon, kasi ayaw magpatalo yung mayor namin eh. Gumawa kami ng 5-story, gumawa naman siya ng 22-story. So that's my worry, no? Kaya my apprehension because the cost of development, the cost of maintenance, security, elevator, common usage area will be very high. Ngayon nga lamang, siguro alam po ninyo na ang hirap ng maningil doon sa amortization that's very low or rental. Kung isasama pa itong mga ganitong type na kusa na common usage area na mayroong fees, naku, baka mas mahirapan na ho tayo maningil. Anyway, that's I would like to thank Secretary Aliling for again and going back to that proven model, no, na walk-up, which is really more appropriate for socialized and in-house housing. So, my question also now is that will we continue with the pursuing in city house or near city housing in urban areas? Will the Dishud partner with LGUs? Kasi ang mahal dito, the bigger portion, the more expensive portion is land. If the LGU would provide the land, I think Dishud can develop, no? In the same manner that we in Valenzuela and San Juan were able to do it.
Kaya ho sa Valenzuela and also some, I think QC kanina narinig ko, kaya ho public rental housing because mahal ho talaga yung lupa. No? In Metro Manila, the price range can range from 45,000 to all the way to 200, 300,000. Kaya ho, pag isasama ho natin yung price of land doon sa amortization, hindi talaga kaya ng mga beneficiaries. So the model that DSUD now is using here in Metro Manila is public rental housing. So at least yung on LGU land, no? On LGU land para po
Just like a Valenzuela model.
para wala hong amortization yung lupa. And you can also redevelop that in the future, no? Sa Singapore all housing units dun is rental, no? And from time to time they redevelop the area, lalo na kung yung area po nagiging affluent. So that's the model that DSUD now is adopting.
Well, that's good to hear, no, from Secretary Liling, because these are proven more successful programs, no? Yung maganda yung sa Venezuela, and I would really support that, yung rental for Metro Manila. But siguro itong ginawa sa amin na condominium, siguro pwede na rin gawing rental na lang. Anyway, yung po sa ano, no, with regards to other socialized housing, NHA, siguro for us not to repeat the same mistake as before, now that we are pursuing the massive infrastructure, North-South commuter line, Metro Manila Subway, and others, probably the housing sector, the DSUD can base its projects or programs on the transport development. Kung nasan yung transport, dapat sumusunod yung development. I hope that can be considered, so that hindi na mauulit muli yung dating nasa kung saan lupalop, nilalagay na bundok, na malayo, isolated, iiwanan din. So that's just my 2 cents worth, no, to suggest. Now that we are now pursuing the railway system, highways, sana nandun din yung housing component.
Yes, Mr. President, Senator JV. In fact, nakita natin yan in many pag bumibisita tayo sa ibang bansa, nakikita natin na yung mga tao nakatira sa labas ng metropolitan area and then nagko-commuter line sila papasok every day, no? Every day. Even in Japan, it's like that. In Europe, it's like that. So hopefully, pag natapos itong North-South commuter rail natin, that will be the offshoot na yung mga kababayan natin, pwede silang tumira ng Bulacan, pero everyday pumapasok sila gamit po yung tren.
Thank you, Mr. President. DSUD OSEC requested 5.2 billion, NHA 38.83 billion, SHAPSI 9.9 billion for the 4-page project. What is the reason why DBM did not fund these projects, and what alternative plans are in line for these unfunded projects? Ano po ang magiging alternate or direction ng DSUD?
Actually, Senator JV, well, thank you for that question. Kaya hindi nabigay dahil meron pa silang natitirang funding that will be carried over to 2026. 683 million still remains in the coffers of DSUD. And the reason for that is because they reformed the 4PH program to make it affordable. Yung kaninang nabanggit nyo na tuklasan nila pag high-rise, only the upper 10th quintile can afford that housing project. So they had to reform the program, kaya na-delay po yung 4PH program. But now na reformed na, very clear na yung kanilang market target, gagamit na nila itong 683 million for next year. Kaya hindi ho sila binigyan because of the low utilization.
Anyway, I'll just go to be rest assured of our support. No, of course, we cannot let the department fail. The DSUD should succeed, and again, we need to address the backlog. No, na sabi ko kanina nung sinusulat natin ito, 2 million lang ang backlog. It grew exponentially to 6 million. So we really have to move fast, and I think the key here will be financing. No, also one of the things that DSUD should really focus on the financing side, lalo na sa mga projects. And siguro sa NHA na lang, no? Si GM na lang na nakita ko dito. How was kamusta po ang production ng NHA ever since 2022 up to at present? Did we improve the production of NHA? Senate ang nagdagdag, di ba? Ng 1 billion.
In terms of production, Mr. President, walang problema po yung housing production ng NHA. But admittedly, compared to the height of the budget allocation to NHA, at one point nakakakuha ho sila ng 10 billion pesos. But now, ang allocation ho natin is about 4.3 billion. No? So it's really a question of fiscal space. Kaya ho hindi sila nakakahabol doon sa mga housing requirements natin.
But before end, I'd like to thank Mr. President, of course, Chairman, our Finance Chair for adding Senate intervention of nagdagdag tayo na 1.5 billion. At least this is again still construction, no? We can be rest assured that yung ating spending kahit pa paano magpatuloy. And my support to the DSUD family, be rest assured of our support. We have to make this work. We have almost 2.5 years, but hopefully as the sponsor and author of this measure, I just want to be rest assured of our support, and di tayo dapat mag-fail dito, no? There are a lot of challenges, a lot of speed bumps, no doubt, but I think with the leadership of Secretary Erling and the DSUD family, I would like to profess my support to the department. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority. Thank you, Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Senator JV, to the father of the DSUD Department of Housing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd just like to echo the sentiment of Senator JV, lalo na sa mga probinsya at secretary, kasi ayaw nila ng high-rise dun. Gusto nila ng single-detached. Kasi magtatanim ng malunggay, ng alam mo naman. And we're actually very successful because the NHS has 3 major projects now in Bukidnon. So we thank them for that. So, Mr. President, no other member wishes to interpolate the budget of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. I move that the budgets of the Office of the Secretary, Human Settlements Adjudication Commission, Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, National Housing Authority, and Social Housing Finance Corporation be deemed submitted. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, including the budgetary support to all their other offices, are hereby deemed submitted.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. May I ask for a minute suspension to allow the transfer of the DTI into the session hall?
Session suspended.
sa riverbanks, sa mga tinatawag po nating
Thank you, Mr. President, for that question. I thank you, and I thank Senator Jinggoy for those queries. The issuance of the certificate of registration came in multiple times. The first one was given on 2008, and then the second one was 2009. The following one on 2024. And the last one was 2025, this year.
Okay. May I know what violations will trigger the suspension of the certificate of registration and license to sell of the developer in this case?